I think this helps all right? So I don't have to scream for an hour and a half. Perfect. All right. Thank you for joining me. We have an hour and a half session today, hour and a half workshop, where we're going to be talking about SEO. Before we get started, I guess let's get a sense of the level of expertise from the room here. How many of you guys are actively doing SEO or have done SEO in the past? Everyone. Perfect. Good start. I think that's good. I think that helps. All right, so let's get going. So today we're gonna be. This is actually a combination of 3 different sessions that I do that are 45 minutes each that are combined together, and we're gonna do rapid fire hour and a half for you guys. So we're gonna start with a little bit about me. We're gonna talk about search trends, and then SEO, and then GEO, and then some closing thoughts. If you guys are here tomorrow, I'm also doing a slight variation of this session, even faster rapid fire. And that one has a little bit more GEO and actually advertising in AI, which is something that's come out very, very recently. All right, a little bit about me. I've been involved in digital space for a very, very long time. In 1997, I started one of the first web hosting companies, T35 Hosting. For those that were around in the digital space back then, that was the years of GeoCities, Hypermart, Tripod. I don't know if any of those names ring any bells to you guys. All of them are obviously out of business at this point. T35 Hosting is actually still in business and still incorporated into a lot of stuff we do. And also predates the starting of Google, which sounds crazy, but the point is I've been doing this for a little while now. In 2011, I started SmartSites with my younger brother. That's a company I run now. So SmartSites, I think I have a slide on SmartSites. Yeah, we'll cover it in a slide down. We could cover it now. Why not? So SmartSites is one of the biggest, fastest growing, top rated digital marketing companies. We have over 400 employees, thousands of clients, thousands of reviews. We've grown by a minimum of 35% every year since starting in 2011. And I think we are now, someone's got to fact check this later, but if not the biggest, one of the biggest private digital marketing agencies. So we do a ton of this marketing stuff, including the SEO stuff. So just giving you my background, where I'm coming from. So you don't have to be like, why am I listening to this guy on stage? He doesn't know what he's talking about. I also have a best-selling book. If anyone's interested, let me know later. I could send you a PDF copy of it. It's automotive themed, but as you guys know, SEO is SEO. SEO that you do for a car dealership is going to wind up being very similar to SEO you do for a dentist, right? There's certain industry intricacies, but generally speaking, SEO is SEO, and good SEO is good SEO. So I wrote this a couple of years ago, which means I wrote this before generative AI. So I wrote it the old-fashioned way, like on the keyboard, one stroke at a time. Not a typewriter, but on a keyboard. And I actually was going to do one for every industry, but the book publishing world, if anyone's ever published a book, hopefully had a better experience. But the book publishing world is a very tough industry, and I got so frustrated with it that I held off. But I still plan to update it and come up with one for every industry, because again, digital marketing SEO is really applicable in every industry, and that's why our company, SmartSites, we're industry agnostic and are able to do it in every single industry. Again, if you're interested, let me know. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles. They promised me it's in the, I don't know about Canada, but in the US, they promised me it's in every single Barnes & Noble store, at least one. I think literally one they hold. It's not, the dealership space is not a big industry. One I think is enough. But I did sell 1,000 copies, which I think is the market. I think I cornered the market on automotive search marketing. We spoke about SmartSites a little bit. We have over 400 employees, over 100 million revenue. If you guys could fact check me later. Google around about SmartSites. We do a lot of really, really good stuff. And my hope today is that I could apply some of the stuff that we're learning about, that we're doing for ourselves, doing for our clients, and kind of walk you guys through it to see if it aligns with what you guys are doing, and hopefully give you some information that you could be doing for yourselves or for your clients. All right, it's only going to get faster from here. All right, search trends. So this is an interesting one. A couple of these slides I presented at one of the biggest e-commerce conferences in London a couple weeks ago, and I borrowed a couple from there. These are going to be really interesting, and yet I see phones coming out. I could send the slides after if anyone wants them. I don't know if you get it from the conference. If not, I'm more than happy to send the slides. I'm also trying to record it with my phone back there. So if that works out, I could send you guys the recording. But feel free to take pictures as well. Some of these, especially this one and the one after, are really good. For me personally, I'm a big social media person. I'm a big LinkedIn person. I don't know who uses which social media platforms here. I'm a big LinkedIn person. For me, on LinkedIn, in the last couple of months, it would seem that no one uses search anymore, right? All I see is ChatGPT, generative AI. I see people saying, who uses search anymore? I don't use search anymore, right? So it's important to kind of take a step back and look at these macro trends I'm going to show you. Yes, generative AI is super, super important. I do a separate session just on geo, which is the new word for generative engine optimization. There's a couple competing words, so we don't even know if geo is going to be the new SEO. There might be another acronym that comes around. So I have to be, I try to be acronym agnostic and not use any of them, because I put these slides together, I send it to a conference, I come present it 3 months later, and that word doesn't exist anymore. So geo seems to be the winning word for the generative engine optimization. But this is like the macro picture that we're looking at. So this is search trends overall. We're right now at 7.6% of all search is being done through generative AI. So this is the ChatGPTs of the world. We take another step out and look at even a bigger macro level. What's interesting is, yes, generative AI search is growing, right? We just saw it growing and the percent's growing, right? But what's interesting is the search on Google is not shrinking, right? And this is just Google. If you bake in Bing, which it actually has been growing, and other search engines, it looks even more so like this chart, right? It just reinforces the idea. So yes, generative AI is becoming more and more important. But at the same time, people are still using search, right? Using traditional search. So despite what my LinkedIn feed would have me believe, people are still using Google, right? Are still using search. So a lot of the stuff I'm going to be covering today is SEO, like old school SEO, pre-ChatGPT SEO. But we're also going to touch upon a little bit into the generative engine optimization, geo, if it's still called geo, next year. All right, this is an interesting one. So this one I was actually not able to present at the conference I spoke at in London, because this data set just came out. I try to source any data I use, so I have the sources on the bottom, so you guys know I'm not making it up. So what's interesting here is, and I have these conversations and I get into, I don't want to say heated arguments, but I get into some debates on LinkedIn with people who are like, I haven't used Google in months. Who still uses Google? So those people who are not using Google and they're like, I haven't used Google in months. Why are we even doing SEO or paid search? They represent this little yellow slither, right? So this is two data sets that were released, and there was a lot of people posting about this. So if you guys search, I'm sure the popular SEO journals have written about this and picked this up already, but this is super, super recent, I think within the last 2 weeks. So what this shows is that on top of Google search still growing, right? And ChatGPT is growing, but Google search still growing. But what's more interesting is people who are using ChatGPT are also using Google. So our search behaviors are becoming even more complex. I remember when Google came up with their micro moments, which was super, super popular through COVID, started a little bit before COVID. I don't know if you guys have ever seen presentations about Google Ads. It was all about micro moments. There's different moments in people's lives to target them. And the whole idea is that the consumer search journey has become more complex and you want to target them differently in different parts of the journey. Now it's become maybe 10 times more complex. And if we dive even deeper and go into the younger generations, what ends up happening is people wind up doing informational searches on ChatGPT. Then they go on TikTok to look up some videos, or on YouTube to look up some videos about it. Then they'll go to Google to confirm what they found. And for now, they're coming back to Google to actually find companies and services. So for businesses, Google and search still super, super important, even though more and more people are on generative AI, and you also want to be on generative AI. But to look at it at a macro picture, I think search will continue to be very important, but at the same time, I think the consumer journey is going to become much more complex than it's ever been. You're going to literally have people have touch points with different mediums, different parts in their journey. I think especially the younger generations are going to be coming up in the next 5-10 years, right? They're very TikTok, Instagram, YouTube heavy, right? So that becomes like TikTok in itself becomes a search experience, right? So I think it's all going to become a little bit more complex than it is now. I think generative AI will play a part in it, but I still think SEO is going to continue to be very valuable. That was a lot really quick in 10 minutes. Any questions with any of that before we go forward? All right, rapid fire style continues. Am I in time? 10 minutes? That was 10 minutes. All right, SEO. So we're gonna, not to promote my book because I'll give it out for free anyway. If you want the book, let me know, I'll send to you. But I cover all the SEO stuff we're about to go through in a lot of detail in my book. So if you want more information about any points, again, ask me, I'll send you the book. Or you could go to Barnes & Nobles and fight for the one copy that each store promised me they would have. Cool. Before I go into SEO, so I presented the next couple slides probably 100 times in the last 3-4 years. So it's it'll flow specifically for all knowledge levels. So if it feels like too fast, too slow, it'll even out. So 2 parts of SEO. Obviously, everyone raised their hands in the room, so most of you guys seem like you're familiar with it. Again, this is presented to all audiences, and surprisingly, the biggest disconnect I find for audiences that are not familiar with SEO is realizing there's 2 different parts of SEO, right? So this is 2 different parts of SEO. You have Google Maps in the SEO world. The SEO professionals like to call it the Google Local Pack. You have Google Localized Organic Results. If you have a physical location or if you have a store, both are going to be important to you. If you do not have a physical location or store, the second one's probably going to be the most important to you. But what's interesting is we're seeing more and more that having a physical location impacts even the local results. And I'll show you the ranking signals a couple slides down. So that means for you guys that don't have a physical location, it might be worth thinking about creating one, right? Like if you have even if you're not a customer facing store, if you have like a physical office location, it might be worth setting up a Google business profile and everything on it. And I'll walk you through the ranking signals a couple slides over there. Yes. So Google doesn't like that. But so what can I say? What can I say without getting in trouble since I am recording this? Hold on. Just turn off the mic for a couple minutes. What can I say? So if you are, let's go generic. Let's say you're a web design company. You're a website design company that doesn't have a Google business profile right now. And you just try to rank nationally for a lot of different things, and you rank nationally okay. If you set up a Google business profile in Atlanta, your web design business will rank better in Atlanta. How you want to take advantage of that is I guess the gray area. Preferably, you'd want to have some kind of virtual / physical, some kind of office. Google doesn't like, obviously, PO boxes and mail rooms and mail processing centers. They used to verify only with a postcard. Now, because there was some abuse that was happening, now they do a lot of video verifications. So how you want to go about it is a great question, but having a Google business profile in Atlanta will help your web design business rank in Atlanta. Yes. As long as they're okay with their address being public on your Google business profile. But yes, let's say you have 10 employees all over the US and they're okay with using their addresses, you could set up these Google business. It won't make or break your rankings. Well, I'll show you the ranking signals in a little bit, but it helps. It helps. And they'll help ranking on maps because people do rank. Surprisingly, people go on Google Maps and you could look at the data and look for things like web design agencies, which doesn't make sense to me. If I was looking for a web design agency, I don't think I would look on maps assuming that like walk into one. I think we're past the time where people take walk-ins for web design businesses, but people do search that way also. All right. Before we go into rankings, and I summarized a lot of slides into this one slide. Before we go into rankings, whenever I talk about Google rankings, people always ask me, well, how do you know the Google rankings, right? Does Google tell you? Actually, surprisingly, Google does tell us some things, but not not enough that we could take advantage of it. But we do have as an agency, we do have a good relationship with Google. Google ranking factors. How do you determine what Google uses to rank websites? Right, the question every SEO professional wants to know. A lot of people sell books saying they know this. A lot of SEO agencies sell mystery products saying we know this. Right, we know how SEO works, so that's why we're going to charge you more. So it's a very, very, very good question. So a couple ways. So number one, we're going to go from the top left and we're going to go around. Number one, Yandex's search engine leaked fully, completely, fully, everything. So all the variables, all the ranking, all the weightings. So you know how important each variable is. And it was really interesting things there. It was like, I don't know, if you capitalize all the words in your title of your website, you'll rank worse. Like there's a lot of interesting things. This was, I think, 2 years ago, so fairly recently. And all of this is public information. I'm not sharing anything proprietary. You guys could go online. There's a lot of good SEO websites that summarize the entire Yandex leak. The problem with the Yandex leak is Yandex is not Google, right? Google has traditionally been 3 to 4, maybe 3 to 5 years ahead of Yandex, right? And ever since the war started, I think they're even further ahead. So even though you could get all these ranking signals and try to assume that Google uses some of them similarly, it's not something I would personally do. Second way to know Google's ranking signals. Google's algorithm leaked. Everything's leaking these days. And this is, by the way, before AI helped everyone become a hacker. So I'd expect a lot more leaks in the near future. Google's algorithm leaked, I think. I can't really say a date on there, but from memory, it was maybe a year and a half ago. Also, you could look it up. There's a lot of websites that summarize it really, really well. I believe it leaked with API. Someone who had API access was able to pull all the variables that Google uses for their ranking signals. There were 2,500 ranking, I wouldn't even call them signals, variables that were pulled. The SEO community determined that about 600 to 700 were probably active. Everyone made a huge deal about this. There was a lot of there's a lot of publications that made a lot of money posting articles about this because this was like we know Google's algorithm. But at the end of the day, I don't like it as a ranking signal. I mean, I don't like it as a way to determine ranking signals. The reason is even though all the variables leaked, we don't really know the weighting of the variables. So another way to look at it is you have this really, really complex soup recipe with 2,500 ingredients. And now you know the 2,500 ingredients, but you don't know the quantities to put in. You don't know the order to put them in or what to do with them. So this is all public. You could look it up, good information in it, but it's not something I personally use as a ranking, used to determine ranking signals. So what I like using is the local search ranking factor study. It's now run by Darren Shaw for the last many years. And what this does, and this is also public, you guys could look it up. What Darren does is he does a survey for most of the SEO experts are represented in this group of people, and this changes every year a little bit, and it's not done every year. So the last one right now is end of 23. And it's SEO professionals reporting to each other what they see being effective and what they see Google using as a ranking signal. So it's not even really meant to be a public-facing or client-facing survey. It's literally an internal survey that SEO professionals do. Starting 2023 became open-ended. So before it was like kind of like choices they would make. Now it's fully open-ended where they put in the full they write in like full sentences. You could look it up. It's public and everywhere. And I have a lot of that in my book as well, where I go through how it's actually put together. So it's literally what the SEO professionals, and these aren't like CEOs of companies. These are literally like technical SEO professionals, right? What they report to each other as ranking signals. So we take all of their stuff that they report and I put it together into this nice little chart. So this is the one you guys take a picture of while I drink some water, or Diet Coke in this case. And I'll walk you through this right after. So what I like about this is it's a good way, and again, just to preface it a little bit, nothing's perfect, right? Google's not signing off on this. Google's not agreeing to this. Google's not providing any of this information. But this is probably the closest we can get to what the SEO profession. And by the way, even if Google was reporting the information, I think this is going to be more accurate. As I don't know if you guys followed the antitrust cases that were happening, but there was a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that kept coming out that Google would publicly say it's doing, and then in the antitrust case, they'd be like, "Nope, that's not what we're doing." Like when they would publicly have to admit it in court, there it was like a you guys remember the daytime show like on Maury, where they were like do the lie detector test, right? And I'd be like, Google said that this doesn't impact rankings. We did the DNA test and determined it's a lie. So I would trust this more than even if Google was publicly saying things. But just to preface it, this is not information Google's saying. This is information that SEO professionals have determined. And I'll walk you through the different signals. And this is all summarized. You could look it up and get the full detail. You could get my book where I go through it a lot more. Taking it from the top. So left side is local pack, which is Google Maps. Number one signal is your, I always call Google My Business. Now it's Google Business Profile. Obviously, your Google Business Profile, you have to have it completely filled in. Google's always adding new categories and new best practices, so you have to be really on top of it. You want to make sure you have pictures. You want to make sure you have reviews. Reviews itself is a signal, actually. So that has become the most important signal. And I'll show you historically over time, it wasn't always the case. And if you guys even think about it yourself, 10 years ago, it definitely wasn't as important. Not only was it not as important for SEO, but it wasn't as important in our day-to-day lives. Like 10 years ago, if you're, I don't know, I just flew in 3 hours ago to Ottawa, right? If I want to go to a restaurant, I'm going to take out my phone, I'm going to look up restaurants. 10 years ago, I'd probably be on Yelp looking up restaurants, right? And I'll show you the Google's ranking signals on sites like Yelp going down as the Google Business Profile has gone up. And Yelp actually sued Google and is suing Google now a second time for taking their business by pushing the importance of the Google Business Profile. Geez. I think I don't remember reading anything clear, but Yelp has not won anything yet. What's interesting is they did win one thing, and it wasn't against Google. So Yelp, and you could look this up. It was a very interesting case I was following. So I don't know if you guys advertise on Yelp, use Yelp, put your businesses on Yelp. Everyone hates Yelp. Perfect. So the way Yelp operates is people leave reviews on Yelp, and it was super, super important 5-10 years ago. Now a little bit less important. You could also have paid listings and pay Yelp for, there's a lot of marketing stuff they could be doing with them. The minimum being like a paid listing. So what Yelp would do is, and I know no one raised their hands, but if you are concentrating on Yelp, I'm sure you've seen that Yelp hides a lot of reviews, especially positive reviews. They hide more positive reviews than negative reviews. And what's interesting is if you pay them for the paid profile listing or even do any kind of advertising in them, they magically unblock those hidden reviews. They literally, I think it's, if you scroll down any Yelp profile, it says, so they got sued for it. And it went through a long court case. And again, this is public information. You could look it up. Court said it's fine. So that one they won. Court said it's fine. It's their business. They could do whatever they want. They could decide to do that. So that one Yelp won. But against Google, they have not won. Yelp's been, we have so many businesses that were so negatively impacted by it, and they would have so many reviews, and Yelp would just hide all the positive ones they would hide, and the negative ones they would. Anyway, on page signal. So after the profile itself, the next one is on page. So on page is your technical SEO. So making sure your website is discoverable, things like that. And then it's a quantity and quality of your content. So I'll go through it a little bit more on the other side because it's a little bit more important. Number 3 is reviews. So reviews is an interesting one that I get into a lot of debates about, and I think one of the most misunderstood. So it's interesting with reviews, and this is again, if you have a physical location, if you have a business profile. If you don't, this is not relevant to you, but I would still suggest you somehow find a way to have a business profile. Reviews are important in 3 different ways. So the amount of reviews, you want to have a lot of reviews. the stars, you want to have good reviews. You want to, so those two are obvious. You want to have a lot of reviews, you want to have good reviews. What's interesting is that Google uses the content of the reviews. And a lot of people don't realize that. And the way that works is, and you could look it up, and it's slightly debated in the SEO world, or I could say misunderstood, but it's for sure a ranking signal. The way it works is, if you're a coffee house and you sell coffee, you're literally like a Starbucks, and your business name is literally just coffee house, nothing else, and you want to come up when people search Brazilian coffee, right? If a lot of your reviews mention Brazilian coffee, you will come up on Google Maps because of that. So it's literally the content of the reviews. Very hard to control. You can't put a gun to your customer and be like, keep writing. And the longer the reviews, the better, right? You can't be like, keep writing like 3 more sentences, or I'm not letting you leave the store. You kind of have to think about how to incentivize and control that, but the content super important. The follow-up question I always get, does the response get used as a ranking signal? The response doesn't, for obvious reasons, because otherwise everyone would be responding and keyword stuffing the responses. Like someone would be like, 5 stars, I like your coffee, and the response would be like, I hope you enjoyed my Brazilian coffee, roasted fresh every Monday, right? Everyone like keyword stuff. The responses don't count, but the content of the review counts, and it's with the reviews being 16%, it actually counts a lot. Any questions before we keep going? The longer the better. There's no maximum. Literally, the longer the better, because it'll be more relevant content. If it's irrelevant, like if someone goes like and copies like 10 pages from Shakespeare and pastes it in the review, it won't help you. But the more relevant, the better. For businesses that are service based, so for example, a barber house, they have specific people like who cut hair, right? Or a car dealership. I do a lot with automotive, so you'll see I use a lot of automotive examples. For car dealerships, you have specific salespeople, right? Mentioning people by name also helps a lot. Yes, question. So that one's a tricky one. Google's been very strict with reviews, but at the same time, their team that oversees all of that has been pared down to like a skeleton team at this point. So yes and no. So you want to be careful, because the negative repercussions are pretty bad. Like you could get your whole Google business profile banned, and then like it's not like you could call someone for help after that. It's on the phone or like screaming out the window. No one's gonna help at that point. So you want to be careful. Another thing I see people run into problems with is businesses encourage customers to leave reviews while at the business, often logged into the business Wi-Fi. So everyone's reviews come in from the same IP address, and then Google thinks that's fraudulent and deletes all of them. And that's very bad. So it does not, but they rank higher. Google local guides will rank higher. They're more likely to be seen first, and any pictures they post will be seen first.
A lot of local guiding.
Yes.
And so all the companies that I visited, they rank.
And what's going around now is a lot of Google actually 2 days ago, 48 hours ago, posted what to do in case there's a lot of fraud going around. So there's two review frauds going around. So one is someone will leave you like 20 one-star reviews, and then in one of them it'll be like, please contact me to get them removed. You guys laugh, but in the last 30 days, we've dealt with like thousands of that. So that's very popular. And the other one, which is, so that one, Google now has guidelines, and it help actually, they'll help. It's not guaranteed, but I've seen them mostly address that. The other one is Google local guides, whose pictures show up first, posting really bad pictures of your business, like the worst angle of the car dealership. Oh. We have a car dealership where the guy and they sell Porsches, so like very high-end car dealership. Wow. The Google local guy drove up some like 1980s Honda Civic, parked it right in front of the store, and took a picture of the Honda Civic facing the store. And then, first of all, he can't do anything. They could report it, but they're a local guide. The pictures won't get removed. And then he contacted the business, and it's all, the email is obviously evidence, but they do it in such a way that Google won't do anything. So the approach is, I put a lot of effort coming to your business and taking that picture, so I could remove it, but there's a cost to me. Anyway, so those are the scams going around now. Not that it helps you guys with SEO, but it's the unfortunate. Correct. I would not start. You could, but I would not recommend parking old Honda Civics in front of luxury car dealerships and trying to extort them for $1,500. Although the couple dealerships that we worked with, I think, wound up paying the money. So I know where everyone's going after this. Everyone's like, I'm gonna extort some local businesses in downtown Ottawa. Any other questions? Sorry, I feel like there were more questions that. Yes. Yes.
Or other sources?
So for the Google Maps, it's only Google reviews that will matter. For Bing and everyone else, it's a little different. So what's interesting is Bing has its own Maps product. Everyone mostly ignored it until ChatGPT started using it for a lot of information, and then it became more prominent. But now Microsoft and ChatGPT are sort of breaking up, so I think it'll become not as prominent again. But there's Google Maps, there's Bing Maps, and there's Apple Maps. So there's 3 Maps products, each used in different ways. Apple seems like it's pretty much going to give up on any kind of search, I think, and the generative AI side as well. Bing would be very relevant if ChatGPT continued to use it. ChatGPT and Microsoft obviously are very interlinked. Like Microsoft invested a ton of money in it and gave them data to use. But what's interesting is we're seeing ChatGPT use more and more Google stuff. At the same time, again, I have to make sure I don't say something I'm going to get in trouble for. Microsoft generative AI products Copilot, which is ChatGPT based. For a long time, that was assumed that was always going to be a case. Copilot is ChatGPT based. Microsoft's moving away from it being ChatGPT based to eventually this information will be public. So maybe I won't post the video until it's public. They're moving away from it being ChatGPT based to their concept is that in the near future, Copilot itself will be a product. So they're going to advertise Copilot as a product. They don't want it to be linked to any generative AI engine. They just want you're using Copilot. You shouldn't care what engine's used. Behind the scenes, what they're doing is they have their own AI model they're developing, and they're going to have the Copilot use the best model for your query. So for example, if you're doing like a math equation or something, they'll have a different engine that's actually faster and better than ChatGPT. So exactly. And I think part of that is a lot of the models, a lot of the queries don't require ChatGPT type of models. So I have the breakdown from Microsoft. I don't know if I could share it, but I have the breakdown that I could probably share if you guys are interested, but in terms of what kind of searches get done on it. But for example, like 8% are mathematical equations. There's no reason to waste like ChatGPT like energy on those. So the future Copilot model is to be LLM agnostic and use different models. The only reason I go through all of that is for a long time, Bing was super important. ChatGPT now it seems like it's not. So I probably wouldn't focus on. I would still do Bing Maps, but I don't think it's going to be as important for ChatGPT stuff. What is it? Sorry. Oh, I have no idea. I don't know what they mean. I don't think so. This is their roadmap. This is their roadmap for Q1, Q2, 26. That I don't think they're announcing yet. That I probably shouldn't be announcing either. But it's okay. The conference is not recording this session. So. I'm gonna have to like fact check myself on what I can and can't. I get in trouble all the time, but the conference is not recording this, so I feel a little bit more comfortable. If it's just my recording, it's fine. Yes.
So I was.
Yes. Yes. Verification, right? instead of the postcard, because people were fake addressing. People are creating fake addresses.
Exactly. And I just only have a home office. So what should I do? Should I just like take a video of my business card and like, or make a sign, or like, what should I really do?
Well, I had the same problem. I had to get the corner address. I had to take the signs with the street names and
Yes.
show the house in the background, and then they took that. It was a pain in the neck, though.
Beat them at their own game. Use the new video AI generators to generate you a beautiful office, and then take a video of that video. Play the video on your monitor, and take a video. They actually do a lot of verifications live now to prevent that. Like literally, you join a video call. That's very, just because this is an hour and a half session, and I have the leeway to do these tangents. From back in the day, my web hosting company, everything, I like to build my own computer. Every 2 years I build a new computer, and mine wasn't really 2 years yet, but it was the volume plug stopped working on it. And I was like, you know what, I'll check in with a case company. It makes it like maybe they'll send me a replacement part. And they're like, well, we don't make this anymore. We'll send you a brand new case, but you have to prove you destroyed it. And it's like a giant metal, like huge case. And I was like, how am I supposed to I guess I get what they're trying to do. They don't want me to have two cases in that. They don't want me reselling it or whatever. But it's like huge. It's like it's the Tower 500 is the case is called, and it is in fact like it's like the podium kind of case, and it's all metal. They're like, you have to destroy it. I'm like hit it with a hammer a couple times. They're like, no, it has to be completely destroyed. So I went back and forth with them a couple times, and then I just went to. I shouldn't be saying. I'm gonna get in trouble for this whole session. I went to Google the Nano Banana, and just so it's image generator. It makes it very good. They came out like a month ago. Very very new, but I think it changed the field in image generation. There's a lot of companies, AI companies, that went out of business overnight when Google released this. You should play around. It's literally free on Gemini. You go in in the drop down, instead of doing a generative AI search, you press this little icon of a banana. So I uploaded the picture of my case, and I'm like, destroyed. Destroyed, and I sent them. And then I threw out the case anyway. But can you make a AI video of an office? Yes. I wouldn't push my luck with Google My Business, though. What I would do is I would print out some kind of they like headings. Just print out or maybe a FedEx or something, like a poster board of your company logo, and literally hang it over your desk and take a picture of that. They mostly look for company headings, because the fraud they're trying to avoid is the same office trying to be 30 businesses. And we had a dealership in New York City that we had that problem with, surprisingly. Lux exotic car dealership. They do Rolls Royce, Lamborghini, Bugatti, but it's all in a joint showroom. It's not like a showroom. Like Bugatti can't have its own dealership because Bugatti sells one car a month, and Google gave a lot of problems with that. They had to take a picture of the Bugatti logo over a specific area of the office. But that's what I would do. You could also try doing have Sora make the whole fake office for you. If you do that, let me know how it goes. I'd love to know if Google's able to detect that, because the verifications are still done by people. It's not AI verified. So where do we leave off? Review signals, link signals. So link signals I'll touch upon on the other side. Link signals are backlinks. So every year that I hear SEO is dead, I hear link building is dead. It has gone down. I'll show you over time ranking signals, but it's still super, super important. It's also important for AI. Distinction for AI, like the ChatGPT and Geo, generative engine optimization, is AI gives a lot of weight to specific websites. So for SEO, you want to get linked from a lot of authoritative, relevant websites. For generative engine optimization, every industry, there's handpicked one that they don't disclose, but there's handpicked the websites that are more valuable. So in the B2B space where I live, for SmartSites, it's Clutch, G2, but it comes and goes. So all this stuff is very, on the generative AI stuff, very fluid, but link building is still super important for SEO. For generative engine optimization, it also is super important, but the kind of links I think is going to be going up and down. Behavioral signals, those you can't control as much, least controllable. Well, behavioral signals are how people use your website. So let me take a step back. You can't control it, right? It's not a huge ranking signal. You want people to stay on your website as long as possible, right? For a long time, this ranking signal was kind of a mystery box. Like, really, what is a behavior signal? And there was a couple events that I was on a panel on that. It was heated debates over what a behavioral signal is, and the ones where there were good speakers with good information. The big takeaway was that it's not as simple as a bounce rate or something like that, and there was always a mystery box. What's interesting is GA4 came out with the engagement rate, which from what I'm seeing is very similar to a behavioral rate. So if you want to know the behavioral signal, I would treat it very much like the engagement rate in GA4. Any analytics works. There's no benefit to having GA4 from what I've seen. And I've seen a couple going from GA to GA4 was so painful for, especially at the enterprise level, that I saw a bunch of people for first time ever switch away from GA in Google Analytics. And I've never seen that. You guys know the background back in the day, back in 1997 when I was running T35 hosting, Google Analytics didn't exist, right? There were two major analytics platform. One of them was Urchin. I don't know if you guys, if that rings any bells for anyone. Urchin was $1,000 a month. So if you want any kind of website analytics, unless the other option would be like your server logs, Webalizer, right? There's a couple of like the more basic, but like at the enterprise level, you were like Urchin, I forget the other one, and everyone was the enterprise ones were $1,000 a month. And even today, if you look at something Google Analytics versus Webalizer or some of the free ones, it's obviously it's almost measuring two different, right? Like one is just a basic like a hit counter, right? Like a hit, like you have one basic hit, and GA gives you so much more. Google bought Urchin and made it free. So ever since they did that, which is I don't know how many years anymore, definitely over 20. Everything's been moving to Google Analytics. So this move to GA4 was the first time I saw kind of a fallout, but it does not affect your rankings, which analytics software you use. Next one, citations. So citations are the Yelps of the world. So they're still important for your Google Maps ranking. It's industry-specific citations for Google Maps. And then personalization is the smallest, least controllable. I always say least controllable, but everything's controllable. So personalization is if you have a Spanish language website and your visitor is on a Spanish computer, Spanish keyboard, you're more likely to rank. So that's the personalization component. So the right side is local organic ranking factor. So that's where you guys could make the biggest dent and increase your traffic the most, right? On the map side, in a lot of cases, you could do everything correctly, and you can't 10x your traffic, right? There's just so many people searching for a coffee shop in Ottawa, right? You can't 10x it. On the organic side, you can, because it's all a factor of how much content, as you could see by the ranking signals. Content and link signals are by far the highest. So a good way to think about it is content gives you an opportunity to show up in search results, and that's why you can grow it so much. So for example, I'm going to do a lot of car dealership examples, so I apologize in advance. For example, you're a car dealership. If you create a page comparing the Honda Accord to Toyota Camry, and someone searches Honda Accord versus Toyota Camry, that page has an opportunity to come up in search results. If you did not create that page, your homepage for your car dealership will never rank for that search term. Yes? That's a going on. That's a couple slides after. But we could, luckily, I do some of these sessions in like 25 minutes, and people ask me questions. I'm like, ask me later. But luckily, with an hour and a half, we could do all the tangents we want. I could keep getting myself in trouble all day long here. AI content. So when I wrote my book back in the day, I think it was 3 years ago now, almost 3 years ago this November, ChatGPT did not exist yet, but it was on the horizon. So I put in a couple of sentences somewhere towards the end where I said, I see OpenAI coming out with a consumer-facing product soon that will allow a lot of content generation. My thought was that Google would highlight AI content. My prediction was that literally it would be like a label, like because with DeepMind and all of Google resources, for sure they know what content's AI generated. That's what I thought would happen. Surprisingly, AI content comes out, everyone creates tons of spam for Google, and Google's like, that's fine, keep doing it. So Google's, I'll fast forward a little bit and then we'll go back. This is Google's official stance on AI content. They've updated a little bit throughout the years, but it's still pretty much, you could do it. We don't do it because I have a feeling eventually Google will change its mind just because so much crap content's being produced. They kind of say that now. So their take on it is content's okay. So from 2023, it says helpful content written by people for people in search results. That was their stance. They didn't specifically say we'll penalize AI content, but it seemed pretty obvious that that's what they were doing, right? And then just last year, they updated the land. This is all public. You could look it up on their. It's on the developers.google. They updated to say helpful content created for people in search results. So they took out the word by people, right? So you could, and I'll go through some examples later if we get to it, but I would not. I would use AI to help you get ideas. I would not mass create spam content. Yes. Yes.
What is the threshold to take AI content?
Yeah. No, there's no good answer, and there's a lot of people that have run tests with AI content and it still ranks. So I don't think there's an answer. I think you could use AI content, just risky. And it depends. It's like the risk reward ratio, right? For us with our own website, I would never do it because the chance, no matter how small, of Google blacklisting the site for spam content or consider, because they could easily do it at the domain level, would be very high. If you're just using a new domain or you just bought a domain, making a new website and new idea, new concept that you are okay with going out, I guess it's a little different. But there's been so much. So the new term, I don't know if you guys have heard it, the new term is AI slop. That's a term for all this AI garbage that's coming out. And it's not just content. Not just content. There's a couple of, I won't name any, I've already got in trouble, but I'll try not to get into any more trouble. There's a couple of big advertising agencies, like public ones, that started using AI creation for creative and even video. And some of it's like very bad. Like I keep seeing ads that have like misspellings and like typical AI. Like there's a I will still not name any names. There's a purse advertisement that was just ran in a newspaper that the model in the picture, if you look really closely, has 6 fingers. So it's like that kind of like AI slop. So you want to be careful. Like it's okay to use AI, but you just want, you need extra QA. Like even if you use AI content with like a slight rewrite, I would like heavily QA it. Where do we leave off? Oh yeah, so content gives you an opportunity to come up with search results. So literally content's a key for all of this, right? Similar for generative AI. So generative AI doesn't come up with its own stuff, right? As you guys know, it's a very interesting dynamic. Literally, generative AI needs websites to keep doing SEO and creating content and literally doing what they've been doing in order for it to get the information, right? So content's super important for AI as well. I'll go through like tips for it. You just want to think about the content a little bit differently. Maybe think about answering questions because people go on generative AI to ask questions. So you want to phrase your content you're creating in question format and do some schema stuff, but still very, very important to do content. This is how it looks like over time. I actually, the reason it looks like crap is because I've been compiling this myself and I put it in Excel, and I'm still like using my 1990s Excel tables with gray and white. But yeah, I made this chart myself. This is a good one to take a picture of. This is a good one for me once in a while to look at. These are ranking signals over time. I'll show you the one for actually local results. This is the Google Maps. So what's interesting is you see a Google My Business, a Google Business Profile becoming more and more important over time. If you look at it, the green one is citations. So citations are the Yelps of the world, obviously not just Yelp, but a lot of other directories. They've become least important over time. So this is one of the things that Yelp is suing Google about, that literally Google has unfairly dominated the space, put them out of business, all of that. But you could see the changes over time. Also is a good one. Reviews has continued to get more and more important. So that's orange. You guys might have, it's funny, your colors are slightly different than mine, but still orange. The orange one's reviews. And the last one, which I've gotten into a lot of debates about, is social signals. So despite what some people I've heard say, and I've heard some speakers at conferences say these things, social is not a signal. Getting more followers on your Instagram will not help you rank on Google, will not help you rank on generative engines. The only reason social is ever a signal is when Google had their own social media platform. I don't know if you guys remember those days. When they had their own social media platform, they actually added a little bit of weight for you having a presence on their social media platform. Once that went away, it's no longer a signal. This is the second picture for you guys to take. I think there's no more pictures after this. So, this is the actual content. So this is not maps. This is literally ranking your actual content on Google over time. So a couple things. On page, which is a little bit of technical, and then quantity and quality of your content, and then links continue to dominate, right? If you do anything for SEO on an ongoing basis, I would literally work on link building, which less and less people do these days. And I would work on creating content. Those are the two ongoing monthly pieces. Link building's tricky. You can't buy links. You can't trade links. People still buy links. I don't know if I encourage it. You want to do what I would call outbound link building. If you've never done outbound link building, the first and easiest way to start is look up some competitors that rank very well on Google. There's a lot of free public tools that let you see what links they have, like who links to them, and then go through them and try to get links from those websites. Should be not very easy exercise, but should be, there's no proprietary information. You could look up exactly the websites, the link to every website, right? We had a taxi company in New York City that their competitor was linked from JFK. That's the airport in New York City. It took us 3 months to get them to link to our client's website. Very manual process, which is probably why it's done a little less now. Often involves calling, mailing, faxing, sending like letters in the mail. With the JFK website, what's interesting is very quickly they said yes. They said, we link to a couple of taxi companies. We would love to link to your client's company as well. So we got someone on the phone. It was very quick. We have an entire outbound marketing team that does this. The problem there was no one knew who had access to their website. So you got to get into some of those. Like, we'd love to do it. We have no idea who accesses and it's a JFK website. It's not like someone's like blog about their pet or something, right? No one had access to their website. So it's a very manual effort, but link building is still super important. Yes. So that's a tough one. So you can't trade links. I know people start trading links again because they forgot they can't trade links. You can't trade links. You can't buy links. The value, I think, is and doesn't necessarily need to be value, right? So there are a couple things. Number one, there's a lot of directories online that you just submit to, right? They're just there. Those are no-brainers. Ones like JFK, I think it's more of a you do it to my competitor. We're even bigger than them, that you're doing a disservice to your clients for not having. Obviously, say it nicer than that. I wouldn't start guilt tripping like a random business owner. There's also a lot of local initiatives you could do if you're like a local small business or something, right? There's things like, and people do these things anyway, but they don't realize the link building opportunities. So We have a lot of businesses in town that sponsor like the softball team or like do stuff with the school, sponsor school play, right? It's so easy to just ask the school to link back to you, right? There's a PR outbound link building approach too, right? You could do it in terms of getting news coverage, doing something like, even if you, I don't know, put together like a college fund, scholarship, whatever, something like that, right? And then literally that college will link to you. They'll put on their website. There's a lot of outside of the box things they could do outside. People still trade links and buy links, but I would not encourage it. Link building is, to be fair, has become slightly less important, but it's still super, super important. And then again, for generative engine optimization for geo, there's certain that are considered trustworthy more than others. The problem is most of them are paid placements, like the G2, Clutch, Manifest, those kind of places in the B2B space. If you guys do B2B, they're mostly pay to play. You're not buying links, but you're buying to be placed at the top of their list kind of thing. So it gets a little trickier. Yes. So you shouldn't, takes me back to a day where people would hide the keyword stuff. I don't know if you guys have keyword stuff, the footer of the page, and make it the same color as the background kind of thing. I would not do that because I think Google, for 2-3 years, it worked very well. I would not hide the links in the same color as the background somewhere in the bottom of the page. Doesn't matter where. I don't think where in the page matters. Obviously, if it's on a domain versus like a third tier page, it's different weightings. But I think generally speaking, well, in the SEO world, what we measure is the domain authority and then the page authority. So you would use those two variables to determine. But where on the page itself, I think doesn't matter as long as you're not doing keyword stuffing and making it a white font on white background. Link building? Link building, there's a ton of public tools. They'll give you backlink profiles and you can monitor who links to you, the increases, drop-offs, things like that. Content, you could probably measure yourself. But in terms of measurement over time, I think your organic traffic, whether you're measuring the actual traffic on your website, Google Analytics, or you're measuring impressions and clicks through Google Search Console, I think that would be your metric. If you're actively doing SEO, your organic traffic should and will increase over time. That would be the success metric. So that's kind of going out of favor. The current best practice is 300 to 500 words for a regular page and up to 2,500 words for a technical article. That's I think the guidelines of what the Google AI everyone uses. If you have a very, that's include the whole page. Yeah, it reads through. Yeah, it reads through the accordion thing now. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, good question. So you for sure want to do strategic interlinking. It's become a little bit less important, but to give everyone else an example what you're talking about. So the example I gave, a Honda Accord versus Toyota Camry. So you're a Honda dealership. You have this page that you just built comparing the Honda Accord versus Toyota Camry. Somewhere in that page, you would say, view all my Honda Accords, and that would link to your page that links all your Honda Accords. So by doing that, you will help it's what's called link juice passes through, and you'll help that Honda Accord page rank, like your listing of all your Honda Accords. Has become a little bit less relevant. It used to be more relevant when Google didn't index as many things, but I would still be strategic about it anyway. And it's interesting. You want to think about which pages you want to help rank. So literally think about it as link juice. You're passing off link juice to a page you're interlinking to help it. At the same time, want to be cognizant of like the UI, UX, customer experience, if that makes sense. So if your article is Honda Accord versus Toyota Camry, and then you decide to link to your Honda Civics because you really want to sell your Honda Civics, that might help your Honda Civics page, but it'll be a terrible experience for your consumers. Yes. Yeah, good question. I combine those all together because it's hard to separate it out because it does overlap a lot. So technical SEO, the way I found to describe it and is the easiest to understand is technical SEO helps Google discover all your content the best way possible. What I mean by that is Google will eventually find all your content anyway, but Google has a very limited crawl budget they use on each domain. If you make your content hard to discover, even if it does discover it, it's not going to index all of it. So your idea is to get Google to index all of your content, as much of your content as possible in the best way possible. That's why I would call that defines technical SEO. It's a whole industry. There's people, and we have one on our staff, literally their only job is technical SEO. A lot of times these technical SEO people get called in when all of a sudden website's traffic drops like 80%. But it's a big part of that job is literally dealing with what did we just fuck up, right? It's a lot of like we just moved website platforms or things like that. But I think at the end of the day, if you're making sure your content is discoverable to Google and following all best practices, I think you'll be okay. I think in most cases, unless there's always fringe scenarios, but in most cases, I think your ongoing tasks are really content link building. I think the technical SEO, you really want to, it's like front load a task. I would not work on technical SEO on a monthly basis unless you're enterprise level or have a specific issue you're trying to resolve. All right, I don't know if I even want to go. So I'll do this even rapid fire. This does not get me in trouble. I know people are like, he's in trouble. This won't get me in trouble, but I think some of this stuff might be a little bit basic for you guys. But I'll do rapid fire. I almost finished my next dose of caffeine, so I'm ready for the next 30 minutes. All right, so this slide, these I presented this for dealerships for the last 2 or 3 years, so it's been a little while. I'm going to introduce the idea and then I'm going to go rapid fire through them. This is how you could be using ChatGPT to help you with SEO. So a little bit different than what we just looked at. It's not ranking signals. It's not how to rank on generative AI. It's literally how to use generative AI to help you with SEO. So we're going to take it from the top. And this is on my screen at least super, super small. But I'll try to read it anyway. And this is all dealership centric, but applies to every single industry. So number one, site page ideas, right? You could go to ChatGPT and say, what website pages should an independent car dealership have? And these are literally prompts and responses that I've used. This is probably a year or two old at this point, but it's literally, it seems so basic, but a lot of people don't do this. So we have a lot of car dealership clients when I do this presentation that surprisingly didn't have some of the, not these top 5 pages, but for example, one of the pages it recommends is a trade-in page. If you go look around, surprisingly, a lot of dealerships didn't even, oh man, of course people look for trade-ins, but they don't have that page on their website. So again, this might seem super basic, but I think good exercise for most people do to kind of just work through with ChatGPT of what pages you should have to see if you're missing anything. So what website pages should you have? It tells you which ones and describes each one. Content ideas. Generate a list of blog post ideas for independent car dealership in Indianapolis, right? It's literally, before a lot of companies would like hire entire content teams, very popular to hire interns in the summer to literally work on ideas of blog posts and articles. Now you could, of course, you have to work on your prompting a little bit, right? You could say, now it's a summer, give me ideas for a summer, right? You can't just be like so vanilla as I am here. But it's very, very powerful for content ideas. And this is a little bit different than creating content. Content creation, we covered this a little bit. My team does not do it, right? Originally, when all this came about and Google's like, we're not going to penalize for it, we took out the word human. You don't have to have a human create the content. We have a team of 70 content writers, right? So we're like, wow, now we're going to be so much more efficient. We're going to We're going to be able to create 10 times more content and charge 10 times less for it, and everyone's going to be 10 times happier. At the end of the day, we're using AI a ton for content, but the efficiencies haven't been great. I think the biggest efficiencies we got is we're creating better content. Content's ranking better because it's more quality. The ideas are more outside of the box, because before, if you assign the same team to write content for the same client, and we're creating, I don't know, 20 pages of content every month, and we're now in year 7, really start running out of ideas, right? Like start scraping the barrel. With generative AI, it's really good at generating ideas. So it creates a lot of efficiencies, but despite what Google says, I wouldn't just start taking content. But having said that, it does work really, really well and does a really, really good job. What's funny is I've used this example to present, I think in total, I've presented this to maybe 1,000 car dealerships. And what's funny is if you search around the internet, a lot of people straight up took this example, right? So this is just an idea, and if you do take it, it's gonna not work well because 1,000 other people have already done it. But literally, so write a 250-word blog post on the history of the Mercedes GLS. How cool is that? And literally in 3 seconds, it does this for you, right? Like 3 years ago, you'd have to hire an intern, and this would take them maybe 4 hours to do? 5 hours, the whole day, the whole week, right? For one model. And it's all, well, you need to QA it. Sometimes it goes a little wonky, but it writes it really well, and it's actually literally gives you the history of the model, right? So it is really, really good at this. I would not copy paste what it takes, and I promise you a lot of people already copy paste. Even though I say that every single time, if you search this on the internet, a lot of people stole this and did it. What's interesting, and you guys already know this because we're 3 years into generative AI, you could ask it to write with the style of different people. So if you are going to steal these examples and have ChatGPT do it for you, please at least do something funny and interesting. So write a 250-word blog post on the history of the Mercedes GLS in the style of Shakespeare. So this is super, super small font for me, but I'm gonna try my best. Hearken, noble reader, to the tale of the mighty chariot known as the Mercedes GLS, a vehicle of grandeur fit for king and queens. So it does really well with people's styles, right? That's how generative AI works. It could on the fly evaluate and use other people's styles. So if you do wind up using it for writing things, please don't just do vanilla prompts of write me this, right? Add a lot of context, add a lot of style, tell them who the audience is, right? You could literally, that's another one that I might get in trouble for, but today is just not a good day with all this stuff. If I'm going to get in trouble, I'm just going to go all in at this point. I have 2 kids. I have 2 daughters who are in competitive cheerleading, and we're always traveling. It's always busy. One of my daughters had a book report to do that we couldn't do because of a cheer schedule conflict. I will get in trouble for it, but it's fine. I literally went on ChatGPT and I said, please write me a summary. And we showed it to her. She understood it. But the reason I bring it up with this example is I literally said, write it in the style of a 5th grader, right? Where you could define your audience. Write this, my audience is of like this age with this experience level. So you really want to give as much detail as possible in your prompts. Link building. So link building, obviously you can't go on ChatGPT and say, ChatGPT, go do my link building for me. So you can't do link building in ChatGPT, but it could give you a lot of ideas and inspiration. So here I wrote, we're the most popular local websites in Indianapolis that list automotive businesses in the area, exclude national websites like Yelp, Yellow Pages, and exclude car dealerships. As you guys could see, I was super detailed in my prompt. If you do the same prompt and remove that detail, all it's going to give you is Yelp and Yellow Pages and other car dealers. But literally saying to exclude it, these are actually good local directories. And your question before is, why would these people do it? These are literally businesses that list local businesses. So it's like a no-brainer for them. Reputation management. So AI can't force your customers to leave you reviews, but it could help you respond to reviews. It does a really, really, really good job responding to reviews both publicly and over email. You want to be careful publicly that doesn't come off as a robot, so please QA it and add some humanity to it. Same with emails, but it's been super, super powerful. For on the car dealership level, implementing generative AI to help respond to clients has been a game changer for a lot of dealerships, because as you can imagine, There's always someone upset, especially in the service part of the dealership. Something, I came in and my car's now broken, and this broke and that broke. There's always a lot of emotions involved. Obviously, generative AI doesn't have any emotions, doesn't take things personally, will not start cursing off the clients. So really, really powerful. How are we pacing on time? Generative AI, we're getting to the tips. Being good at AI is super, super valuable. I've used this example for a while, but now if you look, there's actually, I just posted this on LinkedIn, there's 8,000 prompt engineer jobs in the US right now, openings on Indeed. 8,000 openings. Please, I did this one time and then someone reached out to me after and said they quit their job and they start applying to be a prompt engineer. Please don't quit your job. I don't think this is going to be a permanent thing, but right now, literally, prompt engineers are paying 300 grand plus because how valuable this stuff is, right? So you want to be able to use this resource. Again, please don't quit your job. I think this will go away. When typewriters went to computers, there were actually 3 big companies that did a ton of this stuff. They went around and taught people to use computers. Obviously, those companies don't exist today. I think 3 to 5 years from now, I think we'll all be proficient prompt engineers, just like we are with using computers. People who refuse to do it and just will not do it will eventually lose their job. People who do it will become more efficient at it, but it's crazy how valuable it is that thousands of companies are now hiring literally prompt engineers. Some of these jobs are funny too. If you go and look around, some of them are like 10 years experience required and like all these crazy things. And it's like big companies that post this stuff too. AI loves spreadsheets, so you could put spreadsheets in. If you don't already do it, you could literally import your spreadsheets, have it work with your data. Copilot's now built into Excel, and Google rolled out their AI into Google Sheets. So now you don't even have to do this. You could literally use it within your sheets. This is just like general generative AI tips. Just a reminder that AI likes to hallucinate. I know we've heard this all before. It's getting a lot better at it, but still does this a lot. Some examples I used to present that it actually fixed. One I used to present was I'd go on ChatGPT and I would say, are there any countries that start with the letter V? It would say there are not. Obviously, Vietnam is, but to ChatGPT, Vietnam is the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, right? So, Socialist Democratic Republic of Vietnam. So there's things like that. Some things I just have no idea why I hallucinate. So for a long time, when I would ask who started SmartSites, it would say me, Alex. It would say my brother Michael, and then it would say it added a third sister. And we don't have any other siblings. I promised. I asked my parents. I checked the family tree. I'm on 23andMe, so I checked genetically if I could find any long lost siblings. And there's that information for that. I forget the name it used. Didn't exist anywhere on the internet. I searched everywhere. So sometimes you don't even know how it hallucinates or why it hallucinates. You have a lot of stuff like this that's gotten better at. This is when Google just rolled out their AI, which was a shit show. I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of these. I'll take it from left to right. How many rocks should I eat? AI tells you she eat at least one small rock per day. The reason I bring this all up, especially for some of you that might be thinking about using AI content, make sure you're not publishing things like that. We have some very big clients that once published an AI written article that was factually incorrect. I forget what company, but it was in the news. Some big company, some big. I forget about which company paid Deloitte, but Deloitte had to refund them because they used AI to create everything. And the only reason they found out is when someone started digging through it, it cited studies that didn't exist. Like they never happened. They're like as seen in this study, and that study didn't exist. So please be careful with it. Next one in the middle is how can you make cheese better? It says just add some glue to it. Very good recommendation. Please don't add glue to your pizza. And then, yeah, I think some of you guys have started doing this. I don't know. And then smoking while pregnant. Of course, you should do 2 or 3 cigarettes per day during pregnancy. Doctors recommend this. I've actually, what's interesting is after I've posted all of these before, but I actually went and tried to track down where it got this information. Because sometimes it hallucinates, but sometimes it's actually. So you've been telling this to your clients all along. I'm glad It's now been validated by AI. 3 cigarettes a day, no less.
Did you ever find some of them?
I did find some of them, so it's interesting. So a couple of them were from Reddit. So AI is known to love Reddit, which actually devalued. So a lot of people were gaming the system by creating tons of stuff on Reddit because it was very, very cited. 2 weeks ago, both Google, ChatGPT, everyone at the same time devalued Reddit. Reddit stock fell 17% on the news that it's no longer as important for AI, which is crazy that things like algorithm changes could move a public company price stock like that. So a couple of them are Reddit. The cheese one was an Onion article, which is I don't even know how to describe it, but it decided it was a trustworthy source, right? It has a high domain authority. So be careful what you do with AI. I've used this example for a lot too. Not as applicable to you guys, more applicable when I speak to Fortune 500 companies and people who do proprietary stuff. But for this example, Samsung engineer was working on a bug in their code, and they couldn't figure it out. They were working on it for like a couple of weeks. So they're like, you know what? We'll have ChatGPT fix it. So they uploaded their entire repository for the operating system, for the mobile operating system they use on all Samsung mobile devices. ChatGPT instantly fixed the bug, and they moved on. Everything was fine. Then they noticed a couple of their competitors started copying the feature set of their AI, their mobile operating system, and they tracked things back. And it turned out that their competitors were using their exact code, because generative AI learns and took the code and then was using that code to help their competitors create those features instantly. This happened like in 24 hours. Samsung tried to sue OpenAI, said, please remove our repository from your servers. OpenAI said it doesn't work that way. Once it learns from it, we can't remove it. It actually went to a court case. OpenAI said there's absolutely no backseas, like we have your code now. So be careful what you give to it. Obviously not super applicable to you guys, but always want to keep it in mind. Even for a small business, we had a very small law firm that had a very, what they would consider proprietary contract that they would do for real estate closings, just like when you buy a house, right? But they had their own template they've been using for 20 years, very specific language that they've worked out over 20 years. They had ChatGPT like polish off like a couple of sentences, and then their competitors started using the same template, and they tried to sue their competitors, and the judge said that it's now open information. It's on ChatGPT. So just want to keep that in mind. Sorry, I said no more pictures. You would need more pictures, but this is a good picture. This slide is now a year old, so half of these companies might be out of business. But for those that have been around in the 90s when there were like websites popping up left and right, that's how AI is today. Million of these services and websites popping up all over the place that are amazing, and a lot of them are free. I've never seen so much free stuff since the internet just came around. At the same time, a lot of these go out of business literally overnight. The example with the Nano Banana. So I was asked to be on a board for a company that literally their business model is AI image generation, and they were really, really good at it. They wound up raising money at a $16 million valuation earlier this year, and they went out of business within 2 weeks of Nano Banana coming out. So Google came out with the same thing but free. That's it. All right. So really, really, really reminds me of the internet in the late 90s, where things were coming up left and right. Everything was free, and then like randomly going out of business. GeoCities, that if you guys remember it, like little homes you build, tripod, all those services. We don't have a ton of time, but I'm gonna try to speak even quicker and go through some of the geo stuff really quick. So in a lot of cases, geo is SEO. This is from WordCamp US, which was just a month ago. I wasn't there, but someone sent me this picture because for the last year I've been saying geo is SEO. So I'm glad that Danny Sullivan was there to say it. Did I even put that as Danny Sullivan? Anyway, I didn't even cite him. That's terrible. He used to be a Google search liaison. He was a Google employee whose job was to communicate Google's SEO stuff to the community. Literally, he was at WordCamp US saying good SEO is good geo. What that really means is SEO content is then used by the generative engines. Like, they can't come up with the information themselves. So SEO content is super important, and that's why SEO is still is kind of geo. The things that are good for SEO are good for GEO, right? Like creating content, getting authoritative websites to link to you, things like that. And maybe another good picture one. Sorry, might as well keep your phones out at this point. We're almost done. Just put it in record. AI chatbots by market share. This is an interesting one. Obviously, ChatGPT dominates all of them, but Perplexity and a couple of ones have been growing recently. Interesting to see seasonality. I don't know if you guys have seen posts about this, but in the summer, AI usage drops like a rock because all the college students aren't using it. So AI is still very heavily used in education. I don't want to say to help people cheat, but help them to be more efficient with their schoolwork. So that's something interesting. I try to stay out of trouble the way I say things, especially being out of university. So I don't want to get kicked out. I have to come back here and do another speech tomorrow. So it's interesting to watch the seasonality. When I say good geo is good SEO, and I have a whole deck I presented on this stuff separately, it's almost the same, but you want to write with promptability in mind, right? You want to structure your content in a way people are searching for. So usually in question form, things like that. Use clear question-based headers and direct answers. FAQ schema for a long time was very, very helpful to rank in generative AI. A couple of studies now are saying it's not as important, but I still see it being effective. Prioritize entity clarity. You want it to be super clear who you are, who you represent, because AI uses a lot of that to decide what it cites. Like it's not gonna cite, like we're a digital marketing company. If I create content saying we're the best digital marketing company, AI is not going to use that to cite it, right? Because conflict of interest. So you want to be very, very clear in who's writing your content. You could even put authors on it. And build topical authority. So the best thing you could do for generative engine optimization is become a topical authority. You don't want to be, there's some exceptions, right? Forbes licenses out their name to be everything to everyone. But generally speaking, you want to be a topical authority in a single topic. The result looks like this. We do, this is a big study. I have it cited on the bottom from Search Engine Land. You could search it. It's how to get cited by AI SEO. It just came out, Search Engine Land, research over 8,000 AI citations to determine what helps you get cited. The SEO we do for ourselves helped us get on the list. I don't know if you could see it very well, but we actually wound up being ranked ahead of Four Seasons and a lot of Fortune 500 company in terms of how often we get cited. The end result, something like this. This is our GA traffic for our own site for SmartSites. I should probably update it for September, but the summer drop is from the I guess the students. But we're now getting thousands of visitors per month from ChatGPT. You could see from where I was going to say just ChatGPT, but ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, and this doesn't even count AI overviews, which drives a ton of traffic. Also, for AI overviews, Google's promising they'll give us more visibility in Google Search Console. They promised it and they wrote something out that wound up giving less visibility. So take it for what it is, but I think we will get some visibility in Q1, Q2 for that as well. Yes. Yeah, so actually converts. We measure conversions here. So key events are form submits. So we actually are getting form submissions from the traffic. It is lower from AI than from organic, but it is there. It is there. What we've noticed is the traffic we get from AI is more often top funnel traffic, and that for bottom funnel traffic, people still go to Google. This is doing absolutely nothing. This is doing correct. We do for ourselves. We've actually done absolutely nothing different for GEO. For some clients, we do. For ourselves, we have not. And the numbers are big. It's 1,000 visitors a month. It's not. It's big numbers. Oh, I have closing thoughts. Closing thoughts is funny. I thought after talking about AI for an hour and a half that I would have AI write my closing thoughts. So I actually didn't even write this. This was written by ChatGPT. I gave just another inspiration of how to use it. Right? I gave it my deck. I said, write me my closing thoughts. That's why you see the icons. That's how you could always see, by the way, the AI posts on LinkedIn. They're using the icons and the dashes. You have like question dash based, right? It's ChatGPT loves the dashes. I use Copilot, but obviously ChatGPT powered. Search is evolving. Market share 7.6, but traditional search still dominates. Use AI for content idea, draft creation, link building, reputation management. Google continues to reward high quality content. Prepare for geo. Good SEO is good generative engine optimization. Optimize for AI using clear question-based headers, building topical authority, all the stuff we just spoke about. Always be adapting. I think that's the one thing I could tell everyone. And I've said that to everyone from like roofers, plumbers to Fortune 500 companies. I think the next 12 months, next 12 to 24 months, agility is probably going to be the most important differentiating factor. I think things will move super, super quickly. And those that try to cut corners or are not agile enough are going to get left behind. And a perfect example is I know a lot of SEO agencies and even clients. We had clients who canceled with us and went with other SEO agencies to follow the Reddit spam tactic. You spam Reddit, you get ranked everywhere, and you do very well until 2 weeks ago when you don't. So you want to be agile, but at the same time, you want to also not, shortcuts never work out. For me doing this for 20 more years than I want to count, more than 25. A lot of years, shortcuts never work out. That's it. That's my LinkedIn. If you scan it, or you could look for me on LinkedIn. My email on the left side. Covered a lot. I don't know if you guys have any energy left for questions, but I'll take some more questions if you guys have them. And I'm always available to chat. And I'll be back here tomorrow, 1 p.m., doing a similar session, but we'll do a little bit more AI paid search in that.
What did you say?
Email me.
Okay. For rank math or Yoast?
Yoast has been getting worse.